Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel, Turkish Spotlight Secrets. If you're here for the full story behind the headlines, and not just the headline itself, you're in the right place. Before we start, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and, if you want to support the channel in a special way, click the join button below. Thank you. Now let's dive into tonight's story about Yaman and Demet Özdemir, a story that begins with one photograph and spirals into 1,000 interpretations. It happened late, one of those slow, sleepless hours when timelines feel louder than usual. Out of nowhere, Yaman published a single, carefully composed image. No red carpet, no product, no sponsor tag. Just a low-lit room, a table with 2 cups, a leather jacket folded on the chair back, and a familiar, thin wristband half hidden at the edge of the shot. The caption? Short and deliberate, some memories choose their own timing. No names, no references, no hashtags. Within minutes, the image lit up the feed like a match to dry paper. Why that image? Why that caption? Fans didn't need much prompting to connect dots. The jacket looked strikingly similar to one he wore during the early Erkenci Kuş whirlwind, the months when Yaman and Demet Özdemir went from acting partners to a phenomenon that crossed languages and borders. The cups on the table, Turkish coffee, by the look, recalled a behind-the-scenes day when the pair were photographed laughing over a break, cups in hand, still wearing their characters' costumes. And then there was the bracelet, not new, not flashy, just the kind of detail ardent fans catalog and remember. For supporters who have followed every gesture, every look, it all felt intentional. Predictably, the reaction split into 2 loud camps. One camp said, "This is a personal message, a signal sent the old-fashioned way." The other said, "Don't jump to conclusions. He's allowed to be sentimental about a formative time in his life." And both sides had a point. Erkenci Kuş didn't just raise 2 careers, it changed the atmosphere around Turkish TV abroad, pulling in audiences from Italy to Latin America and fueling a kind of fandom that doesn't fade with a season finale. For many, those years hold their own brightness, independent of anything that might or might not have happened off camera. What gave this midnight post extra weight wasn't what it said, it was what it refused to say. The photo felt like an invitation to remember, but it was also a refusal to label those memories. That ambiguity kept the conversation going for hours. Within the first 30 minutes, the image had been saved, reposted, zoomed in, saturated, and desaturated by fans searching for clues. Was that a familiar tile pattern on the floor? Did the light angle suggest an apartment associated with a certain neighborhood? Entire threads formed around a single bent shadow cast by a lamp. Then, a second ripple, a few hours after Can's photo, Demet Özdemir uploaded a story of her own. Nothing dramatic, just rehearsal footage shot in a studio mirror, sneakers, a loose sweatshirt, a dancer's bun, a few counts of a routine. Underneath, a line of text, "Work makes sense of everything." No link to the earlier post. No response, at least not directly. But the timing was enough to pour lighter fluid onto a fire already burning. Was this a message about priorities? A gentle reminder that craft outlasts noise? Or simply one woman sharing what she always shares, work, independent of anything else? If you've watched these 2 for long, you know why people care. Yaman has cultivated a global audience through a mix of larger-than-life roles and deliberately private choices, big presence on screen, controlled presence off it. Demet Özdemir, meanwhile, has grown into an artist who can flip from comedic timing to vulnerability with one breath and who protects her boundaries with a calm that reads as strength. Together, they once filled screens with a story that looked a lot like a fairy tale, then went their separate ways, professionally and personally, without grand statements or scorched earth. That restraint, ironically, has fed the myth more than any public drama could. Let's reconstruct the last 24 hours of the frenzy. The photo goes up. Fans pull older interviews. In one clip, Can says that some collaborations teach you a new language you never stop speaking. In another, Demet explains that the right partner on set changes your courage. These quotes, years old, start trending again as if they were fresh. A Turkish entertainment program builds a panel around the photo, half analysis, half nostalgia, and spends 9 minutes comparing frames from 2018 to the present. An Italian blog translates the caption as "Alcuni ricordi salgono il loro momento," arguing that the line sounds like a door left slightly open. Meanwhile, 2 fan accounts post side-by-sides of bracelet photos with circles and arrows like detective boards. The circles might prove everything, or nothing. There's a psychological dimension here worth noticing. Audiences don't merely watch stories anymore, they continue writing them in comment sections long after credits roll. Parasocial bonds are real. People feel that they grew up a little with Can and Demet, fell in love, laughed, argued, reconciled in step with their characters. When a symbol from that era reappears, it can feel personal. That's why a jacket and a cup can move a million hearts. They're not props, they're memory keys. Behind the scenes, neither team seems eager to quash the speculation. There are no denials, no confirmations, no rush to frame a narrative. And that silence is, in its own way, a choice, one that keeps the emphasis on the work rather than the rumor. It's also pragmatic. The less you say, the fewer corrections you owe tomorrow. In an industry that can turn a forward caption into a month-long subplot, choosing stillness is a craft in itself. But stillness isn't emptiness. Consider the particular texture of Can's image. The leather jacket suggests past motion, the cooling coffee suggests recent company, the angle suggests someone decided not to center themselves in the frame. If the intent was vanity, the camera would have found a face. Instead, it found objects arranged like a short poem. Meanwhile, Demet's story was the opposite of coded. It was work, sweat, repetition. One post says remember. The other says continue. The juxtaposition is eloquent. Let's talk about what this is not. It is not proof of a reunion, and it is not proof of an argument. It is not a marketing campaign for a secret project, at least not one anyone is ready to admit. It is not an attack, a jab, or a subtweet wrapped in aesthetic. It is one person choosing to honor a past that made him, and another choosing to put her present first. Those two choices can coexist without canceling each other out. And yet, could the ripples have professional consequences? Casting directors love electricity audiences can already feel. International networks notice when a pair trends in multiple languages on a weekday morning with zero press support. Whether or not can Yaman and Demet Özdemir ever share a set again, moments like this keep that door from rusting shut. As one producer told a magazine off the record, viewers don't just want stars, they want a story about the stars. This is a reminder they still have one. Meanwhile, the best part of the storm may be how it ended, not with an explosive reveal but with normal life. Late in the afternoon, Ken was photographed leaving a meeting, a manuscript under his arm, no entourage, no comment. Demet's rehearsal continued. A choreographer posted a group photo with the caption, "We build in counts of 8. No metaphors. No daggers. Just work. If there's a lesson in the noise, it's this: you can let people talk while you keep moving. Now, to those who wrote in asking if the bracelet means something, here's the most honest answer anyone can give: it means what you need it to mean. Objects gather power when we assign them meaning. If the bracelet stands for a chapter you loved, let it stand for that. If the coffee cups remind you of ordinary joy, 10 minutes between takes where 2 actors became friends, let it be that. The beauty of a symbol is that it can carry multiple truths without breaking. And to the more cautious voices, those who worry that any hint about the past pulls attention away from new work, you're not wrong either. That's why Demet's 5 words mattered: work makes sense of everything. Stories ferment online, but careers are made in studios and on sets. The balance between mystery and momentum is delicate, and, at least today, both of them handled it with care. So here's where I land. Can's image wasn't a confession, it was a compass. It pointed to a place where many of us first learned their names and where we learned to expect a certain standard from them: chemistry you can't fake, which you can quote, affection that didn't need to be explained. Demet's story wasn't a rebuttal, it was a rhythm. It said that whatever the past contains, the present still demands discipline, and the future rewards those who show up to count the beats. What do you think? Was the post a private nod shared publicly, or a public memory kept private? Would you want to see Yaman and Demet Özdemir reunite on screen if the right script arrived, or do you prefer the legacy intact, untouchable, shining exactly as you remember it? Tell me in the comments. Your takes keep this conversation alive, and they often point us toward the next story worth telling. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please like the video, subscribe to Turkish Spotlight Secrets, and tap the join button if you want longer cuts, bonus voiceovers, and early access to breakdowns like this. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one. Take care, and goodbye.